Hi, welcome to You Didn't Get the Memo. I'm your host, Gloria Bailey Ray. As always, we got a live show for you today. Look, we started Black History Month highlighting Black female entrepreneurs. Since this is the last show in February for Black History Month, I am highlighting Black male entrepreneurs, and we've got two really dynamic men that are on the show today. But let me just tell you, for those of you who are new to You Didn't Get the Memo, I just want to remind you that our show is truly about providing you, the viewer, with relevant mainstream information to help you be informed and to make informed decisions. Now, let me just say this. If you have questions, if you have comments, there's a section where you can actually put comments in the box, and we'll do our very best to get to all of them. Okay. So becoming a great entrepreneur, you guys, it's not easy. You must be able to effectively communicate. You got to sell, you got to focus, you have to learn, you have to strategize. A lot of times you're wearing 50,000 different hats, and an ability to continually learn. It's not just an entrepreneurial skill, but also a very valuable life skill. Growing a business, I don't need to tell you, or should I say, I can't tell you about that. It requires sound strategy based on inherent sense and skills. So, listen, I want to start with my first guest, who is about this, that I'm excited to have you guys learn a lot about Ujama lighting. Is just simply this. Let me just tell you a little bit about Rob. First of all, we share something in common. He's a Southern man and I'm a Southern woman. So I'm excited that, Arkansas is in the house. So a Southern Arkansas native from Magnolia, Rob Jackson got his undergraduate degree from the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, which is a HBCU, and his MBA from the University of Arizona. As an IT professional by trade, he's always had this passion for entrepreneurship. His grandfather owned a family restaurant in his small town, and if you're from the South and you know anything about it, let me just tell you, to own a restaurant during segregation, that in itself was no easy feat. But Mr. Jackson always desired to bring back that family tradition. So Rob has had this affinity with lighting that started at a very early age. And as a child, he was constantly turning the lights on and off. At his home. And I don't know about you, but I know as a kid growing up, our parents say, if you don't turn that light off, quit flicking that light off and on. So although this was met with scorn from his parents, it basically came down to the impact that it had on the lighting bill. So we're going to bring Rob in. Rob, thank you for tuning in, joining the show. I'm excited to have you talk a little bit more about being a kid and flicking that light switch on. Because, for every time I flicked it on, I got a hand slap,
Oh
or a
yeah.
spot on the butt and did not tell you. So, tell us a little bit more about, first of all, growing up in the South
Yeah.
and, going to a HBCU. And I mean, I'm sitting here thinking IT, lighting, come on, bring it to us. Tell us about how this all kind of came to be.
Well, you said a lot of it. I graduated from the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. That's where I got my IT degree in computer science. Then I went on to get the MBA in Arizona. But I started out. I spent 13 years with IBM as a project manager and as a coder. And then the past 7 years, I've been with the VA as an IT person. One of the things that's really attracted me to lights, other than the childhood story that you gave, was a lot of the technology that's changing with lighting. And I wanted to kind of leverage some of the things that I know about IT into my lights. So that kind of gave me the segue into the lighting industry. And another thing that kind of turned me on about the lighting sector is that I didn't see a lot of us in it, to be honest with you. When I first started looking at lighting, I didn't see any Black-owned lighting companies. And to this day, I don't see any active lighting companies. They may be out there, but I just thought that, we're always talking about, we need to support Black businesses and we need to buy our own. But in order for us to buy our own, we need to manufacture and produce our own, right? And that's not just clothing. That's not just beauty products.
Right.
That's not just restaurants. Even though we need those things, we need to have the bare necessities.
Mm-hmm.
And what better? And I thought to myself, what better way for me to give back to my community than start dealing with lighting, because it reminds me of my mom. Like you said, when I was young, I mean, let my mom tell it. The light bill is what was going to get us kicked out the house.
Ooh, yes. Look, no question about it.
No
and
question.
Thing was, you know what? You're not paying the light bill up in here.
Yeah.
It was never the guest, but you're not paying the light bill up in here. So part of what you're saying is what intrigued me about what you're doing. And you're absolutely right. Stepping out there, we're not saying that the other basic necessities, they aren't there, but you are so right. How many Black people do you see that's in the lighting business, that's developing and doing those kinds of things? So that was my intrigue with having you come on to the show.
Thank you.
So you told us a little bit about your backstory, but let's talk about your journey that literally brought you up to Ujamaa Lighting Company.
Well, I had been thinking about doing a lighting company for years, probably back in 2012, 2013, but I just didn't know how to go about doing it. And this is probably something that's similar to a lot of people who have some ideas in their mind and don't know how to get it started. So one thing I did, it's funny. I just put my head down and started researching. Okay, I got some things that I want to do. How do I go about doing it? I will give a shout out to, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Professor Kiza. If you know who she is, she's on Instagram. She's on a lot of the social media. She's the one that started her videos with "Man Listen," and she gives a lot of advice.
Right.
Okay, so I went to one of her first Black Upstarts.
Okay.
Upstarts, one of her things, and she kind of gave me the foundation of how to start up. Even though I have an MBA, it's funny because I have an MBA with a highly accredited school, University of Arizona. But that MBA didn't teach me how to become an entrepreneur.
Hello. Now that's
it doesn't.
And that's being real and authentic, because
that's
they
being real.
You got a piece of paper, but what's the first step to starting a company? To building a business, and those are the things that I think that is so sorely missing when people step out and say, "I want to start a business." It's more to it than "I want to start a business," because the backstory is, let me just tell you, you talk about a whole lot of headache, heartache, and in many cases, before people even get started, they're bankrupt because they don't understand and have that financial piece behind them as well.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't have the money to do it. Well, let me backtrack. In the lighting industry, there's hundreds of lights you can create, right? So when I started my business, one of my mentors, and I will give a shout out to my mentors. My mentors are the creators of True Laundry Detergent, if you know them. Those are my mentors. And one of the things they told me, hey, okay, so you're dealing with limited funds, right? So I funded Ujamaa Lighting out of my pocket. What really helped me be successful is that I'm scaling. I know there's hundreds of lights I could create. But when I started Ujamaa, I started with one light bulb, 60-watt LED replacement. One.
All right. All it takes is one.
One, because that's the only thing I could afford to manufacture and create. One. And my goal was to, let me get that. Let me get brand awareness. Let me get that light bulb in as many households as I could. And mind you, I've only been in business for 14 months, I want to say. And the key to where I'm at right now, which I'm still growing and I'm learning every second of every day, is scaling. It's
Right.
scaling. That one light bulb, people ping me every day. Hey, do you create this? Do you create that? What about this light bulb? I got one light bulb that I want to
Right.
scale. And that helped me with the funding, and that helped me kind of get my foot in the door and learn, because I know you can probably attest to this. You're going to fail. You're going to fail over and over and over, and you're going to learn so much.
Right.
And and the growth that I've had in this past 12, 14 months is it's worth more than the 2-year MBA that I got at the University of Arizona.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Going back to what you're saying about I have one light bulb. One of the problems a lot of times come with people who are so creative. They have so many ideas for so many things. And what you got to do is to shut down the noise. You got to keep everybody out, because it's always interesting. Everybody always got a different light bulb for you to make, or whatever that widget is, right? But
Yeah.
it's like, where the money coming from? Are they putting money in there, right? And so before you can move on, you have to perfect the thing that you are working on, and you've got to
Exactly.
do it, like you said, not only to scale, but you've got to do it to the best and be the best, so that nobody else can come back and say, because the first thing a lot of times some people will say is, oh, I tried that light bulb and it was whack, it didn't work, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And unfortunately, understanding where that financial piece come in,
Yeah.
is people, there is so much that goes into what it is that you're doing. And the fact that you're 14 months, and that those first 2 to 3 years are the most critical, but you're already on the track by saying, I'm making this one light bulb 60 watt, this is what I do. So let me just stop right here for a minute and say, when we come back, we'll pause for the cause. But you know what? I want you to just tell us a little bit about that 60-watt light bulb, and why it's can be and will be so much more effective than the GE light bulbs that we've all grown up with, right?
Yeah.
They've cornered the market.
Yeah.
So to those of you who are tuning in, look, guys, don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Testing. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy.
Because of you, I feel not alone in this world. And you let me know that it only takes one person to make you feel wanted.
Okay, if you guys are just tuning in to You Didn't Get the Memo, I have here a couple of really, really dope guests. And my first guest is Mr. Rob Jackson. And he is the founder, owner, CEO. He's wearing all the hats of Ujama Lighting. Before we went to break, I had asked, hey, hold that thought. We're going to come back and talk about the light bulb. But you know what? One of the things I also want to bring Rob back in. And, Rob, before we even get to that, let's talk about the challenges that you've also faced, because I think that that's important when you're talking
Yeah.
about being an entrepreneur, starting a business. And as I said to you, a lot of times we're all things, we wear
Yeah.
all the hats. So talk a little bit about that for me.
Well, and you kind of alluded to it earlier. I mean, you got to wear all the hats. CEO, the IT person, the marketing person, the accountant. Uh, what challenges did I not have from financing? But I tell you what, the biggest challenge that I had starting out, and this is going to sound weird, the biggest challenge I had starting out was I needed to shut up. And I know that sounds odd, but I
Oh,
needed to shut up, because every time I told people my dream, they told me why I couldn't do it. I mean, honestly. So, I mean, I've been wanting to do lights for years. And every time I told people something I wanted to do, oh, well, you're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able to do that. This is going to be difficult. Not only that, but they'll go to sleep and the next day be like, you know what? I was thinking about it again, and 3 other reasons why you can't do it. And I tell you what, if that makes sense, does that make sense to you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sitting here. Honestly, I want to like jump up and down. I can do like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Let me tell you. But you know what? I'm just hosting and letting you tell your story. But that is true, and I know that you've learned is one of the things that when you want to do something, you have to hold that secret and close to your heart, because your dream is not going to be somebody else's dream. And it's amazing how people will come in and just kind of chip away at the pure fabric of what it is that you want to do. And that's why I say you got to have tunnel vision. You've got to be focused, and you have to realize early on all the MBAs and all of that in the world, it don't mean nothing, because when you start a business, there's those things that people don't talk about, right? So honestly, there's that book. I tell people, call me. Listen, I will tell you the real skinny. When you talk about before you quit that job, you better make sure that you got everything else in place, because when you're going into business for yourself, it's very, very difficult. So I really and truly, honestly, can relate to what it is that you're saying.
Great. Yeah, I totally agree. And once I shut up and put like you said, those blinders on, I said, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to do lighting. I want to manufacture my own light bulb. That's when I started succeeding. I went out and figured these things out by the help of Professor Kiza, by the help of my mentors, because what you will learn is that the right people start to gravitate towards you.
Amen.
The people that can help you. So once I really started venturing out and trying to figure out how I wanted to do this, after I kind of overcame that challenge, the right people came and everything started coming together. So I say one of the biggest challenges to me at the beginning was to shut up and put those blinders on.
And you said another word, a key word is mentor. A lot of times people will start out and they think that they know everything, and nobody knows everything. And that old saying in the corporate world, you always want to surround yourself with people that are much smarter than you, right? And you want to learn from them. And when you are so full of yourself that you can't learn from other people, that really and truly does, it makes a difference. So hearing you say that, I'm glad to hear that. And you'll find mentors. I have mentors on a personal level, mentor on a business level. It's those, but you need those people in your life as well. So glad to hear you say that. But let's talk about this for a minute. And you said this in kind of your opening. But before I ask you this, because I'm going to tie this in, what is your goal with Ujamaa Lighting? What's your goal? Ultimately, what do you want to do besides make, have some Jeff Bezos kind of money, right?
Well, no, that would be good. But I want Ujamaa Lighting to be a household name. I do. Right now, I want to kind of conquer the residential market, so households. But I will want to venture out into commercial. I'm even right now, I'm a certified minority-owned business. I would tell any Black-owned business to get that done in your city. And I'm also doing some contract work with the city of Boston. But the main goal is to have Ujamaa Lighting be synonymous with GE and all of the other brands. That's what I want to get to. But it's one light bulb at a time.
Right. Absolutely. And thank you for bringing that up. Also, I am a certified minority business enterprise as well. And I think that that's really, really critical. And it lends itself to, I think elevates you in that line of who do I choose to give this contract to. So I'm really happy to hear you say that. So one of the things that I'm going to ask you to do, because I'm going to bring both your guests back towards the end, and I'm going to ask you both the same questions, okay? So for those of you who are just tuning in, I am talking with Mr. Rob Jackson of Ujamaa Lighting. Rob, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm bringing in Mr. Damon Powell, who's an artist and theologian. And you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's all of our responsibility to slow the spread of the coronavirus. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and stay home unless absolutely necessary. You can still use your outdoor spaces like yards and decks. It's also okay to go for a walk or exercise outside. Wear a cloth face covering, stay at least 6 feet away from other people, try not to touch any surfaces, and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds as often as possible. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
He is an artist and a theologian who currently resides in Oakland, California. Now, Damon received his BA of Fine Arts from the Kansas City Art Institute. He also received his Master's of Divinity from Payne Theological Seminary and a Doctor of Philosophy from the Graduate Theological Union. GTU. So after obtaining his BFA, he began a career as a professional illustrator and freelance artist. However, upon entering seminary, his theological studies helped him to understand how his visual artistry was an integral part of his vocation and ongoing spiritual practice. Now, I'm going to bring in Damon. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me. It's excited to be able to talk to you about blending, artistry and also the fact that you are a minister. So, give us a little bit of your backstory. Now, I know I had all of this, but I'm going to let you tell our viewers a little bit about your backstory.
Well, basic stuff. I was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and grew up in Washington, D.C. Was always enthralled with drawing, painting. I spent most of my high school years in the music room, going back and forth between the band room and the art room. Had to make a decision and finally decided that I love music. I was pretty good, but didn't feel I was ever going to be great because I didn't have enough passion for it. I always had to practice. And so I decided I wanted to be an artist, and I went to the Kansas City Art Institute, got out, and began working, doing some freelance stuff and working for some t-shirt company, designing t-shirts, illustrating t-shirts, things like that. And I got called into the ministry. Really did get called. It was not in my life plan. I was planning to be an artist. I had a very specific trajectory that I was reaching for, but I did answer that call and went into seminary. And as I was struggling with my identity as an artist and what that looks like to be an artist, very different lifestyle, obviously, and my identity as possibly and becoming a minister, and struggling to kind of put those two together. And I was still painting and stuff occasionally while I was in school and doing freelance work for projects for people. And then I found a way to be able to put these together. Some of my instructors, professors said, you know what, you really, you ought to figure out a way to put these talents together. And I began to research more. I kept seeing the connections and feeling the connections between the spirituality of what happens to us when we encounter something that's beautiful or something that someone's created that we consider beautiful, and my own spiritual experiences. So I applied to the Graduate Theological Union to begin a PhD, which is my own I developed my own study plan to kind of see how these two really explore in depth, how these two integrated and interconnect with one another. And that's really what brought me to this point.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. Because I know you on a personal level, and I had not ever heard that you share that with me. And I think that it's really important because, like you said, people need to understand that you've got a calling to do something, but really listening to it and being able to blend the two. And I can just relate to what you're saying. I have a calling nowhere near in my wheelhouse of my degrees, but I mean, here we are, right? So
Right.
this is what happens. But you know, talk about what's integral to the work of an artist. Let's go there first. Talk a little bit about that.
In my opinion, and different artists will tell you different things, but in my opinion, I think it's an openness and a willingness to explore. Every experience in life can be fodder for creativity and for your creative flow. You just have to be open to it, and you have to be willing to be able to explore. And sometimes that means failing more than you succeed in terms of creating something that matches your vision, if you ever actually do. But just that willingness to be open to exploration and using every experience that you can, even including those sometimes of others, to channel that into your creative aspect. And then, of course, there's always the business part.
Right. Needless to say, that never goes away.
Yeah.
But talk about the role that you feel that artists have in society. I grew up with, two schools of thought. If you walk into somebody, this is what the guys will say. If you walk into some woman's house and she doesn't have art on the wall, then that means that she has a blank mind, right? She's not creative. But if you walk into someone's home and they do have art displayed that speaks to their appreciation of that creative spirit, but also that they're very intuitive around a lot of other things. But in your opinion, what role do you feel that artists have or art has in society?
Well, that's a tricky question, but I'll give you my interpretation. Many artists might have something different to say, and I have to speak from my context as a Black artist, obviously. So part of that role is to reflect the society around us. Many times we are channels for opening up people to things that seeing them in a way that they might not have seen them before, or noticing something that maybe they didn't even notice in the world around them. I've had people tell me I've walked by this every day and I didn't really pay attention to it or notice that aspect of it till I saw this painting and I saw that you portrayed it. So really reflecting the values and ideas of the society with which we find ourselves in. Particularly, some people would say that artists are critiques. They offer critique of society, societal structures, and injustice, and that is one thing that we can do. But then also just to reflect the beauty and or sometimes the absence of beauty, the grotesque that is in our lives, and put that out for people to see and notice and hopefully encourage them to do something about, to take some action about it. So that's how I see it.
Okay. So, what challenges have you run into in starting your business as an artist?
One of the biggest challenges is I left my job to finally pursue a full-time art career. I had a plan. I had some savings, executed the plan, but things don't always go as smoothly as we like to think it is. And there was a lot of fear there. It took me a long time because I was afraid of what would happen if I didn't have that regular paycheck. And I think for all entrepreneurs, it's moving past that stage, moving past that fear to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I can do this. And so really moving into that point was important and integral to the process. And then also, I think too, for artists, really, marketing is a really important thing. You got to be out there, you got to be visible, and you got to have products. So many times if you leave your job and you're waiting on inspiration, yes, you have to have inspiration, but you also have to create inspiration because you have to be there at your table, sketching, drawing, because you can't sell a product you don't have. And artists have a bad reputation for not always producing as they should. But if you're a professional, you can also help inspiration move along by being present and continuing to work your craft.
Yeah.
So I would say that's important.
Yeah. Speaking of marketing, I mean, I'm certain that Rob would agree. I know I certainly agree. And it's one of those necessary evils, so to speak, because not everybody is into, you hear this, yo, you need to network, you need to be out there marketing, and starting out, it's like, can I just hire somebody to do that, right? But look, you don't have the money to pay them, so that means it's all you. So,
Exactly.
that in itself says a whole lot as well. But I noticed that in the background, you've got some paintings up. You want to tell us a little bit about what we're looking at back there?
Yes, these two actually are prints, and they're prints of a series I just completed on yoga. And actually, I set up this whole series myself. It's about 15 watercolors, and there's about 5 actual acrylic paintings. But the watercolors, I actually was working with a group of Black yogis, and they volunteered to work with me, and I set up my own photo shoots and took all the photos and went some of their classes. I'm very much into yoga, so I've always wanted to do this project to see people who look like me, because there actually are quite a few of us doing yoga, and salute that. And so these pieces are part of that tribute, part of that series.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Very nice. So, in terms of people being able to purchase these pieces, they're able to do that?
Yes, I have originals and prints for sale. Both can be purchased off my website, or you can DM or email me directly. For prints, the prices range anywhere from as low as about $30 for something very small, up to about $700-800, depending on how big you want to go. Most of my artworks, I don't have anything that starts below about 500 or 600, and then we go up from there. I think my most expensive piece probably about 4,500. So just depending on what you want to do.
Yeah. And I want to say to those who are watching, listen, I purchased a beautiful piece from you and had it framed, and it's wall size. And I have to tell you, I have thoroughly enjoyed, my painting. So you guys, I've been putting up Damon's website, definitely go there, because it's really, oh my gosh, there are just so many things. And the interesting thing is, he will tell you, the story behind these paintings, and that's one of the other things that I totally appreciate. But Damon, look, I'm going to pause for the cause. I'm going to say, you guys don't go anywhere, because I'm going to bring you and Rob back. And I wanted, to kind of have both of you. I got a couple of questions for you that I want you guys both to talk about. And I just kind of have you all there. So hang tight. Whatever you do, don't go anywhere.
If doctors, nurses, and grocery store clerks can wear a mask for 10 or 12-hour shifts, you can wear a mask for an hour or less when you go to the store. Do your part. Mask up, America.
I work out every day. COVID won't kill me.
I'm 24. COVID won't kill me.
I have antibodies. COVID won't kill me.
It's been a long week. COVID won't kill me.
I'm 25. COVID won't kill me.
I'm partying outside. COVID won't kill me.
I don't need to wear a mask around my friends. COVID won't kill me.
I'm 23. COVID won't kill me.
If I haven't gotten it yet, COVID won't kill me.
I'm young. COVID won't kill me.
Famous last words. Don't let them be yours. Socially distance. Mask up, America.
All right. Hey, guys, if you are just tuning in to You Didn't Get the Memo, we are talking with Mr. Rob Jackson, who is the founder of Ujamaa Lighting, and also artist and theologian Damon Powell. And we are just covering off, as we end up here at You Didn't Get the Memo, our Black History Month. This is the last Tuesday of the month. We started out by highlighting Black female entrepreneurs, and I wanted to highlight some of the Black male entrepreneurs. So before we went to break, I asked them both to hang loose, because we're going to bring them back, and we're going to talk about a couple of things that I think that is really important, and offer their perspective. So I'm going to start with with you, Rob. Let's first of all talk about why is it important that Blacks support other Black businesses?
To be honest with you, I think it's a requirement. I mean, we see some of the unrest, the racial unrest and stuff that's going on across the nation, and we know that our communities as a whole is disadvantaged already.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like we as an African American community, we got to support each other. We're all we got. Um, I have a book somewhere around here. I think it's called Talking Dollars and Making Sense is the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Right.
the author is Brooke Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
Just read that a few years ago. But that book was the first book that I got the statistic that about recycling the dollar. They say that the Asian community recycle the dollar of the Asian community lasts 28 days in their community. For the Jewish community, it's 19 days, and for African Americans, it's 6 hours. That's a
Mm-hmm.
statistic. If true, we can't afford to have. I mean, we're over $1 trillion in buying power per year. It's imperative if we want to advance our community to support Black-owned businesses, and I think that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
We're not only are we manufacturing our own things now. We have a True Laundry detergents. We have a toothbrush company. We have toilet paper. We have the necessities that we're manufacturing now. I think it's getting better.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm going to ask that same question to you, Damon, as it relates to your thoughts around the importance of other Blacks supporting Black businesses.
Absolutely. I think it's essential. Nobody's going to come and save us but us. We keep looking for other people to do for us, and they're not going to do it. We can protest. We might get a little bone thrown, but if anything's going to happen, support our community, support our families, support our people, we're going to have to do it. And that means we have to work together. We have to support each other, particularly when it comes to the arts. I think overall, African Americans, we need more things of beauty in our environment, in our world, particularly in some situations where people in environments that just aren't healthy. So having something beautiful just to look at, if it's that one thing on your wall and that one spot in your house that can make a difference for you, sometimes it can mean the world to people. So we have to support each other.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, gentlemen. And one of the things that I'm just going to throw this out there. I think that what we've got to get past is feeling like, I'm not going to do this because I'm doing something very similar. We all have gifts. And the thing is, if you just go into a grocery store, let's look at a can of beans, right? There are how many hundreds of manufacturers of beans. It's the same as it relates to, so Rob, you're doing Ujama lighting, and somebody else may have an idea to do something. They're saying it's similar. We've got to get past that mindset and say, oh no, Damon, with your artwork, one of the things that I could already hear somebody saying when you're saying, and I love that because you're unapologetic when you talk about the prices of your artwork, right? But again, when we look at what goes into that, it's the fact that people are saying, oh, wow, that's maybe a little expensive. And so, you know what? We've got to get out of that mindset as well. I had a guest on the show, and she used the analogy. We were talking about, let's just say that you are a massage therapist, right? And the massage therapist charges $150 for a 50-minute massage. And people saying, $150 and you want a tip. But what they don't realize is that, that person has to pay for the cost of the overhead of the building. They have to pay for the usage of the lights, the gas, all of those materials. So if it best, and that's not including insurance and all of these other things. So at the end of the day, if that person comes out with $35, $40 that they can pocket, for the effort. And I just want people to really and truly understand that it's not like because the question is, why is it that Blacks, their products cost a lot more? Well, the thing is just what Rob, you started out saying. When we look at the finances, Damon, when you look at the finances, what's there And then when you look at to scale, where are things really and truly at? So we have got to get away from, I need a hookup, or what's the discount? I mean, and I know y'all know that's real, because I hear that all the time. And why it's important to me to highlight people who may not know as much about you. My show is all over. I mean, it covers the entire country. And the thing is, somebody somewhere will see this. They will see you, gentlemen, and they will say, you know what? I want to invest in them. And that's what we want to get across, is the importance of supporting one another and realizing that, what, it's not like you putting thousands of dollars in my pocket, right? Because we need to circulate those dollars within our community. And you're absolutely right, Rob, when we talk about what goes out. It used to be a time the dollar would circulate within our community at least 26 times before it went outside. And we have got to get back to that. But here's the next question, gentlemen, I have for you. What advice do you guys have for other people who are wanting to start a business and they're just not sure what to do? So, Damon, I'm going to start with you on this one.
I would say, first of all, make sure that you have a plan. Don't just jump out there, particularly if it's a business where you have to end up investing a lot of money up front. Make sure that you have some type of business plan, some type of plan. Let go of your fear. Don't be afraid. You can do it. Believe me, you're only facing what others have met. It's not going to be easy, so don't expect that it should, but believe that you can do it and put systems in place. I spent a lot of time that I could have avoided not having proper systems in place to do what I needed to do. And once you get systems set up or have some idea about how things are going to flow, and you have a plan, then it's much easier for you to go about making things work, because you're not trying to build everything from scratch. You've already got the framework built in, or at least planned out, so you have some idea of where you're going.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Rob, what's your take on that question?
Yeah. I'm going to piggyback on what Damien said. You do need to have a plan. Your plan is never going to be perfect. It's not. It's going to come to a point where you're going to have to, again, shut up. You're going to have to shut up, stop telling people your dreams, focus on what you want to do, and then you're going to eventually have to jump. I think Steve Harvey said that one time. Get the schematics for the plane, but you're going to eventually have to jump off that cliff. Okay. And you have more time than you think to build that plane in midair. Okay. You're going to make mistakes. Get out there, get out of your own way. Our community needs your dreams. We need your vision. And you will be supported by the community. I mean, once you get out there, you may not have support locally, but once you get out there and show your dream, you'll be surprised at how many strangers are out there waiting to support you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that that's really important too, that you look at the glass as half full and not as half empty, right? Because the negative piece will always, it tends to somehow creep into, the very being of who we are. And we can't let something like that take us away from the gifts that God has given us and from those dreams that we have. And so hearing you gentlemen say that, I just say absolutely kudos. So let me just ask you gentlemen this. Rob, I'm kicking it to you. So what do you want people who are watching the show today, what do you want them to take away about Ujama Lighting?
Take away from Ujama Lighting. And I want to answer this one delicately. For what I want them to take away from Ujama Lighting is that I want my company to be an example for what you can accomplish. I want it to be a visualization of what is possible. And I know that sounds like grand, but I don't think many people would think. I'll give you an example. When I first started out, I used to go to black markets. Now imagine people selling clothing, imagine people selling incense and everything, just beautiful things. And look at this big linebacker type black guy that has a box of light bulbs. That was me, right? A lot of people wouldn't even think that someone could create, and a black person would even think to create light bulbs, would even think to create, toilet tissue. Like I said, the necessities that we need. If you got a plan that's outside of the box, please allow JAMA to be an example that it can work and that the community needs your light.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. And you said putting it delicate. Let me just tell you here on You Didn't Get the Memo. It's about being authentic. Okay.
Yes.
That's the reality, because that's one of the problems. I just find that people sometimes just can't manage or handle people being authentic, being their authentic self, being true to who you are. So, hey, I love it from my perspective. Damon, same question. What do you want people to take away?
I really think that I would just say appreciate beauty in your life. When you see an artist out and you see something you like, find out about it. Ask them about what they think about it, why they inspired them. We don't understand. I think we take for granted beauty because it's all around us all the time. You wake up in the morning, you look at the beautiful sun, you see the sky, but it's integral to who we are as human beings. We need it just like we need air, just like we need touch, like we need to be with other people, and take that seriously and don't starve yourself. I mean, we prioritize the things that we want to prioritize. So take a look at my art. If you see something that sparks you, take it seriously. Don't ignore that desire because you're looking at the number rather than what it's going to give to you down the road for years to come, because you're going to have a piece of artwork in your home for years to come.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like I said, I'm on that bandwagon because I know that I totally love the colors and all of that. So, and I still say thank you, for that. I'm really glad that I took the leap and purchased from you. So, gentlemen, Rob, how can people, I want to hear you say it, I've been putting it all up, but I want to hear you say how people can purchase Ujamaa lights and, how does that get from your place to mine? Because look, I need some lights, right?
Yeah. So right now, the quickest way to know where to find Ujamaa Lighting is to go to my website, ujamalighting.com. You can buy directly from our site, and we have a lot of partners that are selling my products too. We're trying to get in stores. That's the main goal this year, is to get in stores. So hopefully you can start getting it from your local HEB or whatever store you have locally. So that's the goal. But for right now, go to our site and we can tell you where we're distributed at.
Okay. All right. Damon, same for you. Even though I've been putting it up, I like to hear you guys verbalize it. How can people purchase your artwork?
Well, I want to say first that, Rob, I will be getting some lights from you. After that, I'll say you can visit my website at damonpowell.com. You can also follow me on Instagram or Twitter at dpartandtheo. But really, it's best to go to the website. If you have a question about anything, you can send me an email or contact me via my website and just ask me whatever you want to know about whatever piece you're interested in. You can purchase prints and have them delivered, framed and matted, ready to go right from the website. So everything's convenient for you.
All right. So I want to thank my guests, Damon Powell and Rob Jackson. I encourage you to go to their page, like and follow them. In addition, I just want you guys to continue to support. Let's support our community. We're doing good, and it's not just Black History Month. We all live Black History 365. Okay. So, but again, thank you guys so much for being on the show. Also, I just want to ask you, you guys love coffee? Be sure to tune in next week where I'll be talking with the owner of a gourmet coffee business. I want to remind you, remember to support our efforts. You can make a donation of any amount. You can ask about sponsorship opportunities, but be sure and like and follow me on social media, on my social media platforms. As always, I say to you, if you didn't take anything away from today's show, then it's really you who didn't get the memo. Be sure and check out my podcast every Thursday evening, Real Talk with Lady G on Spreaker.com. And until this time next week, I want you guys to stay safe. And remember this, the quality of your life is determined by the decisions that you make. Peace and blessing, y'all.